everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renee Jordan. So let's go ahead and get started with where we left off from last week. All right, so here we are on the Black-Liberation.Tech website. Once again, it is available in both English and Spanish. We're going to head over to lessons, scroll down to interactions. Once again, this is where we have lessons on digital literacies, and we're going to lesson D2.0, a story of persistence. And so far, we've read the background story. We have gone through and selected 5 digital literacies to explore further. And so we're going to go down to the lesson section. Just a reminder, this is an image. If you're not watching and you're only listening, I'm showing an image that's a part of the lesson that was created or generated by ChatGPT. And so we are going to take a look at the lesson section that comes after the reflect and write prompts. So here is the lesson: exploring communication and collaboration in digital environments. Objective: by the end of this lesson, you will reflect on your current communication and collaboration practices in digital spaces. Identify ways to enhance and expand your digital communication and collaboration skills. Generate prompts to explore new ways to communicate and collaborate online for academic or professional growth. And last but not least, discover role models, particularly Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women who excel in digital communication and collaboration, and learn from their strategies. Okay, so we did step 1. Step 1 was reflect on your current digital communication and collaboration practices. We did that for read a lot online, socializing, tweeting, which I lean towards posting as opposed to tweeting because I'm no longer on X, reposting and unfollowing. And so for each one selected, you were to reflect and write on the following prompts. And so we were able to cover that when we went over the reflect and write prompts earlier. And so with that being said, we're going to scroll on down to step number 2, exploring ways to communicate and collaborate online. So using your responses from step 1, generate ChatGPT prompts to help explore how you can communicate and collaborate in new and innovative ways for school or work. Okay, since I'm doing this activity, I'm going to set it towards work, specifically my work with the Black-Liberation.Tech open educational resource. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to go to ChatGPT. However, I will take this moment to debut Janaya GPT, which is the GPT that I have set up specifically for Black-Liberation.Tech. It is free. As long as you have a OpenAI account, you will be able to access it. You need at least a free OpenAI account to access Janaya GPT. What you can do is simply go to Black-Liberation.Tech, and from the menu bar, you're going to select Janaya GPT. And since I've set Janaya up for Black-Liberation.Tech, we are going to go ahead and use her for this activity. Now, in case you want to use her and you're not sure where you want to start, we do have here, or I should say, there are conversation starters, and this will prompt Janaya to ask you questions that will help you to get started. So this one says, "Hi, Janaya, I'm interested in how to navigate school." And then there's more information. "Hi, Janaya, I'm interested in exploring careers." The next one, "Hi, Janaya, I'm facing a challenge with a school or work assignment or project." And then this last one says, "Hi, Janaya, I want to take my skills to the next level. Since we're dealing with interactions and talking about digital literacies, I'm going to go ahead and select this last one." Okay, so I'm not going to read everything that she has shared, but I will read the rest of the initial conversation starter. So it says, "Hi, Janaya, I want to take my skills to the next level. What information do you need so that we can brainstorm, plan/design, or implement a project or prompts to help us navigate my options. I want to add it to my resume slash CV and digital portfolio. And so she provides a list of things that you can provide to her so that you can get started. As you can see, it is very detailed. You can answer as many of the questions as you like. You can provide as much information as you're interested in. You are not obligated to do it all, but the more information you provide, the more tailored her output or responses will be to you specifically. And so this is a way for me to help others figure out how to set up a prompt to get a tailored response as opposed to a generic response. And so what I'm going to say here is, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell Janaya that I actually want to get started by going through step two. So far I've said, thank you, Janaya, for starting the conversation. I want to get started with you by going through, and I'll paste it here, step two, exploring new ways to communicate and collaborate online from the Interaction Lesson D2.0 on the Black-Liberation.Tech website. Here is the context for the first prompt. Okay, I'm going to hold down the shift key and hit enter. So just to read it back, thank you, Janaya, for starting the conversation. I want to get started with you by going through step two, exploring new ways to communicate and collaborate online from the Interaction Lesson D2.0, and I'll say a story of persistence from the Black-Liberation.Tech OER. Here is the context for the first prompt. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the information from my Word document and what I've done so that it includes my ad libs in addition to my pre-written responses. I'm going to copy and paste that information into Janaya so she can have it as a point of reference. And so if you had not done that already, then you could take the time to answer those questions to provide Janaya with context. And you can do that by answering as many of the prompts as you feel necessary. All right, so I'm going to go over to my Word document. I'm going to copy everything here that talks about reading a lot online. Now, once again, this is a lot of information. You don't have to provide as much information as I'm providing, but once again, as the person who's doing the demonstration, I want to show you what is possible, and then you can edit from there. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to draw her attention to the prompt that I want to answer. All right. And I'm going to go back to a story of persistence. I'm going to select this first one here. How can I use, and I'll say reading a lot online to improve my virtual, I'll just say my virtual collaboration for Black-Liberation.Tech in my field of instructional technology. What are some effective strategies for remote communication that could enhance my work success? I'm going to leave out academic because I'm dealing with Black-Liberation.Tech specifically. Okay, so how can I use reading a lot online to improve my virtual collaboration for the Black-Liberation.Tech OER in my field of instructional technology? What are some effective strategies for remote communication that could enhance my work or to enhance my work success? My work on this project. To enhance my success, I'm going to word this a little differently. That could enhance my success with Black-Liberation.Tech. Okay. And once again, you'll fill it out based on who you are as an individual, and hopefully you'll get a response that's tailored to you. Please feel free to leave comments and share how this activity went for you. So let's go ahead and submit my information. All right, now she gave me quite a response. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this information so that I have it for my records. And then I'm going to read it back to you to see what she had to say. All right, so this is what Janaya GPT had to say. That's a strong prompt to act on and beautifully aligned with the Interaction Lesson D2.0 in your field. Let's translate your reading a lot online literacy into practical collaborative strategies inside the Black-Liberation.Tech OER ecosystem and your instructional technology practice. How reading a lot online strengthens virtual collaboration. Your Think Aloud already models what Paulo Freire called reading the word and the world. You don't just read content, you read context, culture, and connection. Here's how that habit translates into stronger remote teamwork. And then we have three columns with titles. The first one says reading practice. The next column is collaborative power, and then the example for Black-Liberation.Tech. So let's take a look at the first entry in this table. Critical sourcing and cross-checking builds collective trust in shared research and lesson design. When curating OER readings or prompt engineering examples, share annotated links in a shared Zotero or notation database so collaborators can verify and add culturally responsive sources. All right, the next one, tracing scholarly conversations, turns asynchronous work into dialogue, not data dumps. Summarize threads of thoughts in Slack or Google Docs. Here's an example. This reading links Afrocentric design with UX justice. How might that fit our next safety first module? Next, we have reading across disciplines. Enrich design diversity, essential for liberation pedagogy. Pair an AI ethics article with a poem or visual art piece in your co-authored lessons. Invite teammates to read both modes together. All right, next. Annotation and question-driven reading makes thinking visible and invites feedback. Use hypothesis or Miro sticky notes for marginalia that others can respond to, like a digital think aloud circle. Culturally responsive reading keeps equity at the center of collaboration. During content review, ask whose voice is missing, whose epistemology shapes this activity. Then assign team members to seek counter voices. All right, next we have effective remote communication strategies for instructional technologists. To enhance success with Black-Liberation.Tech, pair your reading discipline with communication tools that mirror Ubuntu. Shared humanity through intentional dialogue. Structured asynchronous channels. Use shared docs with comment threads labeled by theme, pedagogy, design, equity check. Create a slow chat rhythm, 48-hour response windows to honor global time zones and reflection. Reflective sync spaces. Begin virtual meetings with a liberation check-in. Each member names one insight from a recent reading or podcast. Rotate facilitation to distribute voice and leadership. Transparency boards. Maintain a Trello or Airtable board showing project stages, responsible persons, and next readings. This mirrors your systematic reading style, organized yet dynamic. Number 4, digital dialogue journals. Pair collaborators to exchange short reflections after each reading cycle, like pen pals, but in Google Docs. It deepens relational learning and models the daughtering methodology you reference. Feedback rituals. Apply praise, question, polish. Framing when reviewing others' work online to sustain psychological safety. Integration prompt. For your portfolio or resume, applied advanced online reading and synthesis strategies to coordinate cross-disciplinary collaboration with the Black-Liberation.Tech OER. Leveraged digital annotation, reflective dialogue, and structured asynchronous communication to enhance inclusivity, transparency, and quality. All right, would you like me to turn this into a mini collaboration blueprint template with columns for tools, practices, and reflection prompts that you can include in your digital portfolio? So I filled in, thank you, Janiyah. I found this information to be helpful to me. At this time, I want to move on to the next digital literacy. Here is the background information for context purposes. And so I'm going to go back to my Word document and I'm going to copy and paste the next digital literacy, which was socializing. Once again, I have a lot of information to draw from. You do not have to have as much. This is so that I can test this activity out for myself and see what I can get as a response, knowing that I've provided a lot of information and background. And so I'll say, Janiyah, to draw her attention, here is the prompt that I want you to take action. Here's the prompt on which I want you to take action. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the lesson. I'm going to copy this next prompt. It's actually dealing with the digital literacy that I have up next, socializing. So I'm going to edit the prompt. So right now it says, Janiyah, here's the prompt on which I want you to take action. What are some creative ways to use, and I'll say socializing, to promote, and I'll say Black-Liberation.Tech OER. And what I'll do is I'll take out my and engage with my audience in meaningful conversations. How can I use, I'll say socializing, and I'm going to put brackets around it in case she goes back to the lesson and sees that it said X. So how can I use socializing as a professional networking tool in, and I'll change it to the field of instructional technology. Okay, so I'll read this back once again. Janiyah, here is the prompt on which I want you to take action. What are some creative ways to use socializing to promote Black-Liberation.Tech OER and engage with my audience in meaningful conversations? How can I use socializing as a professional networking tool in the field of instructional technology? So I'm going to go ahead and submit my prompt. Okay, so once again, I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this good information so that I have it saved. And I'll say, all right, so I've gone ahead and saved the response. And so now I'm going to walk through it with you. Once again, I'm saving it in a Word document so that I can go back to it later. Yes, Janiyah will save your conversation. However, just in case, I like to have a backup. And so this is what Janiyah had to say about this last prompt. Love this. Let's turn your socializing literacy into a mini playbook you can use right away for promoting Black-Liberation.Tech and networking in instructional technology. Creative ways to socialize, promote, and engage. So here we have number one, read and remix. Micro series, LinkedIn, IG, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Format 60 to 90-second clips where you share one insight from an OER lesson plus one remix. How a teacher, parent, or teen could apply it this week. Call to action, CTA. Comment with how you'd remix this for your context. Reply with short voice notes / video comments to spark dialogue. Number two, annotation jams. Open, low-lift community event. Tool, hypothesis or Google Doc comments. Flow, pick one OER page, invite folks to annotate for 20 minutes, then 10-minute debrief on Zoom, Twitter, /X. Goal, co-create notes you can publish as community annotations, Volume 1.0. Liberation Check-in, live. Monthly IG Live, LinkedIn Live with a guest, Latina, Afro-Latina, Black women in ed tech, UX, data, etc. All right, number four, community shoutouts. Reciprocity Loop, weekly post highlighting a teacher, student, or org applying the OER and tag them. DM them a simple media kit. 2 images, 1 caption, so they can reshare. Build networks plus social proof. All right. Number 5, prompt labs in the comments. Post a scenario. For example, design a protected access mini lesson for 6th graders. Ask followers to drop 1 prompt they'd try with an AI tool. You reply with tweaks plus any ethics checkpoints. Number 6, story to survey bridges. Use IG stories / LinkedIn polls to ask a 1 question needs assessment. For example, which do you want next? AI safety mini lesson or UX interview script? Build the winner and tag voters when it drops. Number 7, office hours. Open doors. 30-minute Zoom each month. First 5 people get 5 minutes to ask about portfolios, prompts, or lessons designs, record, and turn into a frequently asked question post. All right, this is good stuff. Next, use socializing as a pro networking tool. All right, next it provides 5 high leverage touch points. The first one, comment with a question that expands the thread, not great post. Next, share a 3-bullet summary of an article you read, plus a classroom application. Next, offer to review a slide, prompt, or rubric, and that would be a 10-minute favor. Next, introduce 2 people who should meet. This would be a mini ecosystem builder. Post a resources I wish I had bundle. This could be a template plus prompt plus a rubric. All right, so next we have swipe copy. Feel free to paste and tweak. So here are some things that Janiyah is suggesting that I do. DM, post to collab. Hi, insert name. Your note on insert topic resonated. I run Black-Liberation.Tech, an OER that blends AI literacy plus culturally responsive design. Here's a 60-second clip on insert related idea. Want to co-host a 20-minute annotation jam next week? Super low lift. We annotate 1 page and share a recap. Live invite. I'm hosting a 25-minute Liberation check-in live on insert date. Theme, insert topic. Would you share a 5-minute tip / story and 1 actionable takeaway for teachers or instructional designers? Follow up after meeting. Loved our chat. 2 next steps I can own. 1, draft the prompt lab outline. 2, send a media kit for your audience. Anything small I can do for your current project? Next, conference connection online. Great meeting you at insert conference. Here's the OER page we discussed, plus 1 page Teach Tomorrow handout. If useful, I can tailor a 30-minute virtual workshop for your team. All right. Now, Janiyah has some conversation starters that attract the right people. So here we go. What's 1 digital safety boundary you teach students that also protects you as an educator? That's a good one. Next, show me a lesson plan that became more inclusive after you added community input. What changed? And the last conversation starter, we have drop a prompt that helped a struggling learner. Bonus if it includes an ethics checkpoint. All right, so ethics and care, non-negotiables. Credit co-creators, avoid sharing student / participant data, very important. Add accessibility, so alt text and captions, and include a quick bias / impact note when sharing prompts or data. Want me to package this in a 1-page collaboration campaign kit with check boxes, call to action, and a 30-day calendar you can drop straight into your portfolio? All right, so I said, thank you, Janiyah. I appreciate the offer. I want to push pause on moving forward with that great idea and move on to the next digital literacy. Here is the background information for context. All right, and with that, I'm going to go back to my Word document and copy what I have for the next one, which is tweeting. And for me specifically, it's going to refer to posting online because I am no longer on X. So posting to my different social media platforms. And so I'm going to take that. This is our 3rd out of 5 and paste that information there. And then I'm holding down the shift key and I'm going to type in Janiyah. Here is the prompt on which I want you to take action. And I'm going to go back to The list of prompts. All right, that's funny that it says reposting and it's actually going to be posting. So I've edited this prompt so that it fits what I'm working with as it relates to the Black-Liberation.Tech OER. And so here is what the prompt says. Janaya, here's the prompt on which I want you to take action. How can I leverage tweeting/posting on social media to share relevant instructional technology industry updates with my Black-Liberation.Tech community while contributing to ongoing discussions? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and submit that and see what she comes up with. Wow. Okay, so she had a good amount to say about that. I'm going to copy and paste that response and save it to my Word document. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Janai had to say. Yes, let's set up a lightweight signal system so your posts consistently share relevant instructional technology updates with the Black-Liberation.Tech community and plug you into ongoing discourse. Number one, your signal workflow. First step, collect 10 to 15 minutes. Set 5 to 7 alert topics: AI literacy and education, digital safety/privacy, accessible UX/UDL, culturally responsive tech, OER and open pedagogy, learning analytics ethics, edtech policy/FERPA/AI policies. Skim headlines and pick one update that aligns with your mission. Curate 10 to 15 minutes. Run your verified then trust check. Who published it? Name the org/journal/event. What's new versus repackaged? So what for learners, teachers, parents, instructional designers, especially Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women/girls. Contribute. This should take 20 to 25 minutes. Turn it into a micro brief. Close the loop, 5 minutes. Comment thoughtfully on 3 posts from instructional designers/researchers discussing similar themes. Reference your micro brief and ask questions. This builds network gravity. All right. Number 2, ready to post formats. Copy, paste, and tweak. All right. So here's the first one. LinkedIn, micro brief, thread or single post. Hook, new guidance on AI use in classrooms highlights student data minimalization. Why it matters. If data trails are long, harm hits our communities first. Ubuntu, protect the village. Try this. Before the next assignment, ask, do I need names/emails at all? Pilot an anonymous draft phrase using your learning management system and rubric. Cue to you. So question to you. What's one field you can remove from a student form this week without losing learning value? Next, we have TikTok/Reel, 45 to 60 seconds script. Hook, 5 seconds. Quick instructional technology update. New AI classroom guidance just dropped. What should we change this week? Okay. Number 3, conversation starters that plug you into ongoing discussions. What's one policy in your learning management system you've never changed but should? Next, if AI is a study buddy, what boundaries belong in your syllabus? Share a low bandwidth design tweak that helped one student succeed. Where do you draw the line between personalization and surveillance? Use these as post questions and as comments under other threads. Number 4, hashtag and mention bank. Mix 3 to 5 per post. All right. Next, number 5, networking. Networking through posting. Socializing equals relationship engine. Spotlight and tag. Once a week, quote a scholar/teacher from your community and add a 2-sentence translation to practice. Here's how this looks in a 7th grade ELA class. Invite a stitch, duet, or collab. Ask one practitioner to react with their classroom adaptation. Comment ladders. After you post, DM 3 peers. Open question on AI plus privacy. Would love your take in the thread. Number 6, safety, access, and care. All right, last but not least, number 7, portfolio and resume language to capture this work. Launched a weekly instructional text signals social micro brief translating policy and research into classroom action. Averaged X meaningful comments per post and sparked Y cross-org collaborations, facilitated community annotated live Q&As to connect OER insights with practitioner needs, documented adaptations, and published open summaries. If you want, I can spin this into a 30-day posting calendar with prompts specific to your current Black-Liberation.Tech lessons. One update plus one action plus one question per day. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push pause on sharing this. In the interest of time, I'm going to push pause on the lesson right here. We still have a couple more to go, so we'll be back next week to take a look at those last two digital literacies that we've explored and see what Janaya has to say in terms of action steps to help me level up my skills. And so I hope that you do the same. Once again, thank you for listening to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Jordan. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.